Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the amazing boxer himself, Brother Ray Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well, sir. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. The first question that we have for you, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, I first heard them. What's scary is that I don't live, or we grew up not too far from the mosque. And we were going back and forth on the bus every day on the Stony Island bus, seeing the mosque, and never walked in, never, intersected. But when I was at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, I was getting a degree in African American Studies and Religious Studies. And one of the brothers showed up at our dorm with a tape from Michigan, University of Michigan, when the minister spoke there. And we sat up and listened to that tape at least 60 times. We literally got the tape at 4. We didn't leave the dorm till 4 the next morning, just going over and over, because we had never heard anything like it. And so right after that, we started going to the mosque. I went on to graduate school at Columbia University in New York and started going to number 7. And I was boxing then. I was boxing out of Gleason's gym in Brooklyn. Me, Zab, Judah, we were all amateurs together. And I was going back and forth to number 7, but I was in grad school at Teachers College. So right during that period, the minister started doing the men's only meetings. And then that's when he said, I want to bring 1 million to Washington, D.C. And the roar, bro, was like scary. Like cats was in the mosque. You thought the mosque was about to shake apart. You know what I mean? Just all of that, bro. And I had never felt nothing like that. So I went. I was lost found. And I was still in the streets. So me and cats from New York, Detroit. It was New York, Detroit. I want to say St. Louis. We met up and caravan down. The minister told everybody not to carry no weapons, but everybody wasn't listening. A lot of cats on my team was not listening. But when we got there, man, it was just so incredible. We were so close together as men that if somebody had to use the bathroom, you had to pick them up and move them over your head to get to the potties on the other side. And for us to be that close together for hours, I mean, like 6, 7 hours, man, people stepping on one another's shoes. This was the 90s. Cats was killing you over 8-ball jackets, all kind of garbage. And whenever somebody would offend somebody or step on the foot, it's like, oh man, my fault, bro. And it would just went forward, not a hitch. It is tanks lined up along the mall. They're ready to fire. Ready for something to jump off. And then the minister, when he comes on at a certain point during the presentation, they decide to pass the collections. And they're sending boxes, cardboard boxes about this big, to everybody's supposed to dig in their pocket, take out paper money, put it in the box, and pass it over their head. We've been there 6, 7 hours. All I'm thinking is, if it's gonna go down, it's about to go down right now, because it's cash money passing over everybody's head. No hitches, no problems, no arguments. Bro, I climbed up on one of the poles. You might see on the film the guys that's standing on sitting on the pole. One of them is me. And I'm looking at I had never seen anything that large. Just black. It was waves and waves of black men. And when Rosa Parks took the stage and the brothers started hollering out, Rosa, Rosa, Rosa. Man, I'm telling you, the whole thing started shaking. And when they put that camera in her face and she started crying, the whole lick started crying. Everybody was breaking tears, bro. Honestly, I get excited just talking about it. This was 20, 30 years ago. But that event changed my life. When we came back from the Million Man March, I told all of the cats that I was rolling with, I'm about to join, and they was like, what? What's you know what I mean? And they didn't come. But these were brothers that had raised me, and but they loved and respected what I did and the example that we've led so far. So that's my incoming story. When I started processing, I was in graduate school at Northwestern University, getting a PhD in sociology. And at the time, when I recited, it was one of the first times that I prayed to Master Farad Muhammad by name, because that was the biggest piece for me, was trying to figure out, this God as a person thing was really, it was something for me to get my head around. And Brother Billy was my processing teacher. And he said, listen, if you got questions, try to God out. Just try them out. That way you won't have no questions. And I was in that processing class when he said that, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do exactly that. Now, I recited in July. The deadline to apply for graduate school at Northwestern was April. It had passed 2 months earlier, the deadline. I prayed to the God. I'm like, look, I'm back in Chicago. My father don't really know that I'm here because he sent me out of Chicago because I got into a lot of trouble with the police. And he, told me to promise not to come back. But I wanted to come back, so I came. He found out. He says, listen, I'm going to give you 4 weeks to stay in my city, but in 4 weeks you need to have a full-time job or be in school full-time or both. Otherwise, you're getting out of my city. I was like, that's a bet. So I prayed to the God by name in July. This is like June, July, to get me into Northwestern with a full ride, knowing that the deadline has passed and way past, not a week later, not 4 weeks later. This is like 6 weeks later. Right? So I fill out the application anyway and send it in. One of my letters of recommendation was written by a brother, Professor Bowman, and he called me, was like, bro, guess who I just heard from? I was like, who? He was like, the professors at Northwestern. I was like, what's going on? He was like, listen, they accepted 12 people in their program this year. 6 of them turned them down to go to Harvard. So they got 6 seats left that they are struggling to fill, because if they don't fill these 6, next year they will only get 6 rather than the full 12. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to this person, say this thing, and da-da. I did everything he said do. Bro, a week later, I got my award letter, my acceptance letter, and my enrollment letter from Northwestern, PhD program, full tuition paid. I had never seen or heard anything like that. And so from that point forward, I've been praying to him. I don't trip, I don't get confused, none of that, you know what I mean? Because ain't nobody done that. It can't nobody do that, right? Definitely didn't do it for me. So I'm good. I'm good with the God. I'm good with everybody after that, you know what I mean?
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love all across the country. Yes, sir. And thank you all for everybody who likes, shares, and subscribe. My sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum, family. And let us know what city you are from on YouTube and all, and across the Facebook world as well. Okay, let's. So you got your PhD from Northwestern?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. I didn't know. Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. So we actually call you Dr. Ray. I don't want to be disrespectful. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's amazing. I never knew that with Dr. Ray. Yes, sir. All right.
And to be honest with you, bro, I don't advertise it because I really take the minister's point to heart about the most powerful title being brother. Because none of the other titles do you got to work at. Like once they give you the PhD, you're a doctor from now on, no matter what garbage you might get yourself involved in. But brother, that's something you got to achieve every day. And I'm not the best at it. I can't front, but I'm striving. So that's the title I kind of force everybody to say. Everything else they can, do or not do, I ain't tripping.
Yes, sir. Okay, great. Well, that's inspirational to me as someone who's in college and who's pursuing multiple degrees as well. I wanted that story just motivated me. Praise be to Allah.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go back to Zab Judah. All right, so you used to box with him? That's pretty cool.
No, we were amateurs together. This was back when Zab was real young. We were all amateurs out of Gleason's gym. And, Zab was a phenom, a straight phenom. When we were all into the Golden Gloves tournament, of course, Zab would make it all the way to the finals. Most of us would not. But we would all go to watch him do his thing, man. I watched him stand up on a cat like this close and do through a 7-punch combination. Bah, 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 bah. Zab made him miss all 7 punches. And instead of Zab scoring, after he made him miss, he literally made him miss and walked off with his eyes on him. Letting him know I could end this anytime I want to, bro. Honestly, man, the whole stands was on like, oh my God. So he was a phenom. He was when he was trying to qualify for Pernell Whitaker's camp, he had asked my coach if he could spar me on film for the camp because he knew I was heavier than him and a lot slower. And so, he was going to, show off what he can do. And my coach didn't let it happen. Coach John Taliaferro, he was like, no, bro, I can't sacrifice you like that, bro. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful time in the 90s in New York. Yeah, that was when it all went down.
Yes, sir. Okay, great. So after the Million Man March, you come in the nation. Who trained you?
Well, I mean, Quinn Cedric was the main man. Okay. I mean, honestly, he got everybody tight. Everybody tight. Brother Lyle was my lieutenant. Brother Glenn, these were the first group of men that I had ever met that were Muslims. And so they did a lot of raising for me. And then, of course, when Assistant Supreme, Brother Aziz came to Chicago, he really kind of adopted all of us, but he did a lot of raising for me, and I thank Allah so much for him. Then I did front rostering security. I was a palace guard at the minister's home. I was doing military, but then something happened. Right, I'd been an athlete my whole life and had begun to fast. And was experimenting with that, but was losing weight really, really fast, dramatic amounts of weight. And I ended up going to my sister's house and I fell out. I couldn't move. They had to call the ambulance to come get me. And they took me to the hospital and my eyes had withdrawn into my head. You could see my skull. So I looked like I was on crack. And when they tested my sugars, they were over 900. And the doctor couldn't figure out why I was still conscious. I thought I was losing weight because I was fasting. I was eating once every 2 days, just kind of experimenting with stuff. And it turns out that I was, that my pancreas had crashed. I was diabetic, the new onset type 1 diabetes, and was suffering from the effects of, not being treated for because I didn't even know I had it. And so I was in the hospital for probably about 2 weeks. And Brother Aziz sent Brother Dwayne to see about me while I was in the hospital, which, really warmed my heart. And I remember looking in the mirror and my face is withdrawn, my eyes are sucked in. I had gone all the way down to 117 pounds. I had never weighed that less. I was just bones. So I looked like I was going to, die. Any moment. I remember looking in the mirror, just telling the God, if this is the way you want it to end, I'm good with it. However you want me to go, I'm with it. I'm just glad that I met you before I had to go. And, the God really kind of brought me, back to life from that period. And it was Brother Aziz who took me from about 121 pounds of scrawny, looking like nothing, enrolled me in his jiu-jitsu course, and I started rebuilding. And really just being around the comrades in that course, and of course getting back to my love, which was boxing. I met Coach Anthony, Sister Sandra's husband, and between that Brother Anthony and the former Brother Anthony, they really walked me back to full health and full physical vitality. So praise God for the brotherhood. That's the real. I mean, nothing.
All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. But Brother Ray, what advice would you give to other people who are dealing with diabetes and or health issues?
Very good question. A couple of things. One, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's regimen is the regimen that works. There's no way around it. It's just mathematic, right? The amount of time that you spend without a meal, without food in your stomach, without your body having to deal with manufacturing insulin, the better off you are to handle the side effects from unmanaged symptoms. See? And so for the first probably about 3 or 4 years that I was diagnosed as a type 1. Now, type 1 diabetes means you got to take the insulin needles, right? That means your pancreas has closed completely down. But I did the first 4 years roughly without insulin, just living the life that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad designed and dictated, and eating the 1 meal a day and fasting. Then I went to 1 meal every other day. Right? What I found, however, was that diabetes is stress related. And so you could be very disciplined on your fast, but if you allow your stress to get out of hand, it will shoot your sugars up even if you have not eaten. And it goes right in line with what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that if you don't get the benefits, the physical benefits of the fast that I have determined for you to take, then it must be your thinking. Because those two things are related. You know what I mean? You can't just do the physical and not do the mental. And so because I was not managing my mental because of the stress I was allowing, it was pushing my diabetes into terrible symptoms, even though I had adopted the program. But you got to adopt the program in its full, not just the part. You know, you got to do the full. And you know, and ain't nobody better at teaching that than the Christ himself. So, you know. So I would just advise that folks do the fast, but pay very close attention to how much stress you allow yourself to experience. Take time off for yourself, right? And work out. You know, I'm 53 years old, right? And I still box. I fought in the Golden Gloves this year, Chicago Golden Gloves at light heavy, and won a title. I fought at the Wisconsin State Golden Gloves at light heavy, won a title. I got 5 titles in 3 different weight divisions. But I'm saying all that to say that because I'm 53, the notion is that you shouldn't be doing nothing. Because I'm 53 and a type 1 diabetic, the notion is that you really should sit down somewhere. And if you manage to be convinced of that falsehood, your diabetes will attack you and win. One of the things that's burning my sugars on a daily basis is the fact that I work out 2 to 3 times a day because, you know, I got fights coming up. The guys who fight me, real dudes. You know what I mean? Even though I'm in a master's division, which means that it's men that are 36 and older. But to prepare for that fight, I got a spar cats that are like 25 and less. So I end up sparring guys that are, you know, going to the Olympics. And, you know, it's not easy all the time. I sparred Coach Anthony's son, Aziz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I came first. Wow. I was like, oh. I mean, he got that kind of, you know what I mean? He got that kind of ball. Small cat. Like I outweigh him by a good, you know, 50, 20 pounds. But man, he hit like a heavyweight. So, but you have to force yourself into those kinds of opportunities in order to see parts of yourself you can't get to no other way. And that's why I always credit the training of the FOI, because it's the only thing that gets Black men ready to face all challenges. I mean, you know, cats that know me from the gym know, you know, as soon as I walk in the door, give me some meat, I'm about to eat it. Whoever want it, they can get it. And that attitude, that kind of agency, that take charge mentality, I had never seen before I saw FOI. And being in that brotherhood, it forces you to build that. Even if you come in weak, because I was a, you know, nice guy. I could use my hands, no question, but, you know, I wasn't walking around like, you know, like I'm trying to run nothing. I'm just I'm happy. I was the cat that was happy to be there. You know what I mean? But, you know, being able to take that attitude, the attitude of a leader, the attitude that takes charge, the attitude that takes responsibility for everything occurring in this space. having that attitude, and then having the faith, the confidence to know that you can handle that. You can't get that nowhere else but the brotherhood, but the FOI. Ain't no schools, ain't no camps, ain't no teams, none of that garbage. You're only gonna get that here. That's just actual fact.
Beautiful. All praises to Allah. Excellent. And Sister Audra from MUI, the teacher, says, Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak. My sister Naima says, Assalamu alaikum, family, wa alaikum salam. And thank everyone who continues to show love all across the country. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Now, earlier you spoke of Zab Judah. Is there any other boxers that inspired you or that you got to see that you wanted to emulate?
Well, I mean, honestly, my favorites, everybody's favorite is, watching Mayweather and how slick he is. But the men that I've been around, right, really coach Anthony Ivory, who was really a journeyman, but the level of commitment that he has to his craft, because he's both a boxer and a martial artist, I had never seen anything like it. I'm talking about somebody that is so in love with boxing, with fighting, that his love, right, is not just efficacious, but it catches you, right? You all of a sudden, now you start, you can come in the gym, I kid you not, you come in the gym with coach, you got a bad day, you moving all slow, da-da-da-da. His excitement will infect you to the point where you have forgotten all of the garbage that you was complaining about, and you in there, you like doing it, and the energy he brings to it, bro, it's just like, oh my, when you leave, man, I swear to God, when I leave the gym, I be wanting to thank him so bad, because I can't even remember where my head was. But now I feel good, I feel strong, you know what I mean? He's really, to me, the love of boxing, he infects people with that. And that, I had been boxing for years, decades, before I met him. But that was the key. That was the key that turned the lock. You know what I mean? It's love, man. It is infectious. It will compel you to do what you don't feel like doing. Right? You don't feel like working out. You don't feel like running. You don't feel like lifting weights. You don't feel like sparring. But the love will compel you, man. And then the other side of that compelling motivation are these great outcomes. You end up in great shape, real fast, just sharp, the whole nine. And you're like, man, love will make it all better. That's just the real. Yeah, I mean, we just got to fall in love with ourselves and what we got among us. So this, I'm still that cat that's happy to be here. No question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. All praises to Allah. Thank everyone who continues to show love. Yes, sir. And Brother Anthony, I told you earlier that I had a chance, me and some of the brothers went to train with him at his former building, and it was intense. It was intense. Yeah. Some real training going on.
Coach don't even have a break. He'll have 9 cats in the ring. He'll pat all of them with no pause in between. He gets done with us, we huffing and puffing, and he's on to the next dude, never takes a break, bro. He's just a motor engine, for real.
Yes, sir. We have a few more questions for you. Our brother, Dr. Ray Muhammad, PhD. That's huge. All praises to Allah. That's huge. Boxing is huge too, but that PhD, that's amazing that you in the story. I can't wait to chop that up to share with people as well. Yes, my next question is: being in Chicago, did you ever have any interactions with the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan?
I did. He, it's the best days of my life was being invited to his home and for dinner. Once it was for our contributions at Savior's Day. We were so excited because he was able to purchase a farm and everything. And I had given a fair amount during that year. So we got invited to his home. Another time it was for getting the PhD, believe it or not. When I finished the PhD at Northwestern, as one of the only black males to even finish at the program. To be honest, they're really good at accepting black folks, but not good at matriculating and graduating. But I managed to go to get out, and he invited all of us that had graduated that year to have dinner at his home. And then this last time was for Brother Enoch, who does God, I just forgot the name of the program.
Hip Hop Detox.
Yes. Oh God, man! Don't tell them I say. Oh wow, it's on tape too. Don't tell them I forgot. But hip hop detox. They really, supported us. Supported my sons from way back. And he had done a show at the mosque and invited us to perform and to do a boxing demo. And then the minister invited all of us, his whole show team, to the minister's home. And that was when I got a chance to ask a question. And just being around, honestly, just I can't even stop smiling. Just thinking about him, his spirit, and the amount of time and attention he's willing to take for you. Like it is like uncanny. Like I don't know that I've ever been listened to quite as closely. You know what I mean? And I got family. I got folk blood related. You know what I'm saying? But just very, very intense, very, very focused, but not, offensive, not, nothing like that, but just very, very, focused. And it makes you kind of focus up, and get clear on your thoughts, as you're moving. And so I'd ask him, if you have multiple gifts, wow, I'm about to tear up thinking about it. If you have multiple gifts, how do you know which one to pursue? Because I was like, I have a PhD in sociology from Northwestern. I still box. I have a bunch of amateur titles. And I also do music. My sons do music as well. And I'm not really sure what to push, to be honest. I'm not sure if I start pushing this way and I run into an obstacle, is that a sign from the God that I need to be pushing something else? Or is that something I need to be overcoming? And it's hard to gauge. And he said a lot. I'll just share the piece that, well, so much of it hit me, to be honest. Because now at that time I was really excited about the boxing thing. This was years ago. I was even contemplating going pro because I was sparring with guys who were pro and doing well. So he was like, brother, I'll tell you what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared with me. What you do well and what you are good at is more than likely what you were born to do. And in this day and time, in a world of ignorance, of the three gifts that you name, teaching is probably your gift. And at the time, I wanted it to be boxing, right? I wanted it to be music. And so I was trying not to show no disappointment, but I was like, but he was right. I come from a long line of teachers. And there's a certain way of looking at the world that you have as a teacher, right? That you're not attempting to answer the question. Instead, you're attempting to ask a question that would make them realize that they already know the answer. There's a way to look at the world like that, where everything you do, everything you say is actually a nudge forward for someone else. Right? And, it's a gift. Every teacher, especially public school, but any teacher you see, anybody walking in a classroom to teach young people, they're gifted. They're gifted. That's just automatic. The love they have is incredible. It really, really is. I had a great, wonderful, exquisite first grade teacher who was my mom. She taught at public school and she was our first grade teacher. And so that's how I started. And then once I became a professor at University of Iowa, and then later on a professor at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and then after that a professor at University of Illinois at Chicago. Every once in a while I think back to those days and remember, we was meant to be here. We was meant to be here. Praise be to Allah.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You teach it. And people are showing you love all across the country. My sister said, all praise to Allah. That was an excellent question. And thank everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. Now, our brother, Dr. Ray, we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast during this holy month of Ramadan. I want to thank everyone who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast. Yesterday, we have a lot of this month. Thank everyone who has anonymous donations and Cash App the People's Podcast. We appreciate it. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of those. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book, coloring book, and now Spanish book, all of which are on Amazon. Please get that. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. And right here in the studios of Atlanta, Georgia, we love our tiny dancers. Rock Communications. If you're working on a book and you need project management, content development, media relations, please reach out to Rock Communications. Also, Fashion Gods, Urban Wear for Men and Boys, 314-329-6009. He'll keep you dressed and dripping in the best of fashion. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. He does a phenomenal job. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, Children of the Most High, giving birth to a God and the science for child rearing. Also, Sister Sherry Muhammad, AsiaticMinds.com. She teaches STEM virtually to young kings and queens all across the country, AsiaticMinds.com. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the nation. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services out of Chicago. Excuse me for that. My father's book, A Soldier Moving to Christ, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Right back to our brother. Okay, yes, sir. Now I have a question. Speaking of books, will you ever write a book on your personal life?
I mean, I'm sure at some point what I want to do now is try to get my sons squared. Once I get them squared, then, I can turn around and, heal my wounds and all of that. But getting them squared, raising Black boys on the south side of Chicago, where they kill over 500 Black boys every summer, right? And they've been doing that, literally every year since I was probably in my teenage years. And so Chicago has that kind of churning that takes place. My father is passed. He was a police officer. His father is also passed. Every single one of their brothers is also passed. And every single one of their sons is also dead. So it's just me, right? And my boys. And so that would appear unique, but in Chicago, it's not. It's not. That's how often, that's the level of Black male mortality that's occurring, everything from disease to violence. So I say all that to say that raising my sons, keeping hands on them, because I didn't have the clearest example in terms of what to do as a parent, as a father, especially not as a single father with custody. And I had them since they was 2. So I was changing diapers, all of it. Malik didn't even take regular diapers. He had to use cotton diapers. So I had to wash diapers. So it was bananas. There are scenes of me at different Savior's Days. I got Malik in one arm. No, I got Malik. Yeah, I got Malik in one arm, and then the baby boy Majid in the other arm, and somebody's holding a microphone so I can ask a question to the panelists. So it was like that. And there was no model except for one. And, that was my mother. I watched her kill herself for us. And so that's what I decided to do, the same way. My people told me, if you got boys, if you can keep them in an academic, an athletic, and an art for 10 years straight, don't ask them, do they want to go? Don't ask them what they like. None of that. You're a dad. Force them. You keep them in that for 10 years straight, they will develop expertise, skills in those, and they'll be able to feed themselves. So you won't have to chase them out of your house at 18 or 19 because they ain't got no real skills to make it on their own. But you got to start early. And so I had my boys in engineering camps, architectural camps, structural engineering camps, everything. And folks that at Muhammad University, they know me. I've been having the boy. Malik and Majid both started piano when they was 3. They started boxing at 4. They started cello and violin now is what they do. So they've been in that for about, Malik's been in about 5 years. Majid's only been about 4. But keeping them in an art, keeping them in an academic, like the engineering camps, and keeping them in an athletic. I had them in basketball first. I had them in, they stay in boxing because they're going to have to do that because dad do that. But I just got them into fencing with the Bronzeville Fencing Academy. And they like it. Like my Lil G, he good at, He was good. Because there are principles in boxing that you can use in fencing. And the difference is that everybody that is fencing speaks that language, but they don't speak boxing. And my son is trying to speak both. And so when you learn to be bilingual like that, there's certain things you can do in that ring, certain things that you can do on that canvas, because they don't call it a ring, they call it a canvas. Yes, that other cats not gonna be able to do because they're not used to that. So I'm encouraged by both of my sons and their push. And then of course my daughter, who is my real heart, she don't like to, she independent now, so she don't like to be all around. But she's pursuing her degree in chemistry at University of Illinois at Chicago and has just gotten her research assistantship together for that. So I just want my children to be squared. Once that's squared, then I'll, take care of me. But everything is literally focused on them at this point. I was, I had posts in the mosque. I was a minister. I was a student minister over the city of Joliet, over the city of Bloomington, over Aurora, Bolingbrook.
Okay.
And they sent me to Champaign. I was a student. Well, at that time, they began to call it coordinators. So I was study group coordinator in Champaign for years. And when you own them posts and you running and gunning, you get this mentality that you just don't quit. When I lost the post, I turned that same mentality on my sons and my daughter and really just had this push where you just don't stop kind of mentality and posture with them. And the God has been blessing us with outcomes. So I'm gonna keep pushing till I fall, till the wheels fall off and they get squared, and then I'm gonna go somewhere and have a seat, brother. So
all praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. I have a quick question about first of all, great advice and great parenting. And my sister Naeem says teach, excellent advice. My sister Miriam says excellent advice. Brother Michael Muhammad says alhamdulillah. And my sister Naeem says beautiful. My next question for you though, sir, is if with the mortality rate in the south side of Chicago, you got a PhD, why do you stay? Why you there? Yeah, why you still live? I'm like, what's going on? Help me understand. Like, why?
No, indeed, that's real, and that's a good question. You sound like my family because they like, dude, what is you doing? Because we don't stay too far. We right on 47th Street. But the pocket that we're in is really, really nice. 2 things. One, I'm familiar. And so when you move me out of context, I have to relearn what the social cues are for that area. And a lot of these spaces that, Black people are gravitating towards, and whites and others, they're not as safe as people make them out to be. Right? We're in Kenwood, Oakland area, which is right next to Hyde Park. And there are 2 overlapping patrol districts for this area. So you get a fair amount of police, but the police are familiar. So it's not the the wild white cowboys that you see rolling through the low end that don't live anywhere near where we live, right? But come into our communities like marauders and just garbage. It's not that, right? At least that's not been my experience. the young people that are police officers in this space are, they're a little younger. Most of them are black. I've seen maybe two white police officers. Even the fire trucks that come into this area, the whole team was black. Like I took a picture of it. I was selling final calls on 53rd Street, and the fireman came, the fire truck came in because somebody had pulled an alarm. And when they pulled up right in front of my, right in front of my post. And I looked up, man, and everybody that got off that truck was black. And I tapped the brother. Like the engineer was like, dude, man, is everybody in your company black? He was like, yeah, it is. I was like, bro, you gotta let me take a picture, because I've never seen this. And he was like, well, if you take a picture, we can't look at you. We have to be working. You know what I mean? Because that'll go down on our record as a problem. I was like, man, there ain't no problem, bro. I just want to, shout y'all out that black men is doing this, as a team. We're not sprinkled in these white groups, one at a time, trying to exercise as a minority in that space. That is a dangerous position to be in. We don't need to be anymore in these positions where we're the only, right? We need to be in these positions as a team, as a cadre, as a unit, and then we can flex and take it over and take charge. But you can't do this, and that's how they get us with these gifted programs and everything else. Anybody showing talent from our community is plucked out, placed in a space that's full of everybody else but themselves. And because there's a lot of resources there, we feel like we got to stay there. And so that was the attitude that I heard from my family, who wanted me to move out of this neighborhood, is that they want me to be in spaces that have resources. But typically, many of those spaces also have a whole gang of folk that are not like us. And so I wanted to raise my black sons, my black Muslim sons, in a space that respected the fact that they were black, male, and Muslim. And not just Orthodox Muslim, but Muslims in the Nation of Islam. And so we don't stay too far from the minister's home. And so you got all these believers in that space. You got World Through Dean's followers that are in that space. You got old gang heads that, I grew up with in that space. So I felt like this would be safe for my sons and for my daughter. So I end up here. And where else can you represent and actually get people to come? If I'm in the suburbs, when I was in grad school living in Evanston, trying to soldier out there was crazy. I'm searching for black folk to put the paper in front of, you know what I mean? Here, bro, I can walk outside with a stack of papers and get it. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
So that's why we're here.
Beautiful. And may Allah continue to bless you, sir. And you said you were in Bolingbrook. That's not too far away. I grew up in Naperville. So shout out to you working out there. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. We have just a few more questions for you, sir. Sure. Yes, sir. My next question for you is, what type of music do you like to listen to?
Believe it or not, that has changed. My son Malik is a classically trained amateur violinist, and he has begun doing a couple of things. He composed his own music, his own classical music, when he enrolled in a music composition program with the Chicago Civic Orchestra. Right? And they took him 10 weeks to pull together his piece, and then he had it played by professional musicians. And so his composition debuted on their online show called Chicago from Scratch. And so he's one of those. And so his practicing didn't always sound good. Neither did my other son, my G, who's playing cello. But over time, you get not just used to the strings, but you actually anticipate, you actually feel a need, right, to hear notes played in that way, right? And so classical music, believe it or not, has become the new lick in the house. He started, I enrolled him in an engineering program with a Professor Ruby Mendenhall, who's a health innovator. She challenged all the young people in her program to come up with a health innovation. My son don't know nothing about health, but he know a lot about music. And he believed that you could serenade people to relieve stress, and that you could have this kind of effect, right? And so he wrote a proposal to have musicians line up like first responders. So when a neighborhood trauma has happened, a police officer has shot a child, when they move the body, that neighborhood is still suffering. That neighborhood is still grieving. And so he wanted to send musicians into those spaces, set up pop-up stages, and let them play. The notion is that the sound therapy that would begin to occur would intervene, intersect the normal chain of events that occurs after a murder. Because after you got murdered, then you got retaliatory murder. And that retaliation cannot occur unless conversations happen. And so what he wanted to do was interrupt those conversations with classical music in an effort to try to, calm the violence. And so he got the proposal off. He competed in the Carl, Illinois School of Medicine Health Maker Lab Health Makeathon for health innovation proposals. And they gave him $10,000. He won. He was the youngest winner they had ever had. They gave him $10,000 to turn his proposal into an actual pilot project. And we just finished we have one last performance left in his project. So after they gave him the $10,000, of course, now he's still in school, still doing his music. So dad has to come in now and make this stuff into an actual program. So I began reaching out and moving people around, and we got an ensemble together and began performing, but we couldn't get to the areas where somebody was going to be, in those neighborhoods where trauma has occurred, because we couldn't guarantee the safety of the musicians. Then he thought that we could meet them at the hospital. Since the victims are going to the hospital, let's just go play in the hospitals. But then COVID hit, and we couldn't get into the hospitals. The waiting areas, which are huge, we got on the phone with the managers at Carl Hospital in Urbana, Illinois, and had a really, really candid conversation with the manager. She was like, I love the program, I love the idea, but we don't even have a waiting room anymore because of COVID, right? We're doing away with it. And I was like, well, you still have a waiting room. You just have repurposed it for something else, because the room's still there. Y'all didn't break the hospital down. I was like, what have you repurposed it for? She's like, well, we've turned it into staff lounges, and we're putting in massage chairs to try to add amenities to staff lounges. I was like, yeah, well, just put us right next to the massage chairs, right, as an added amenity for your staff. And she went for it. And right after that, we pivoted and changed the proposal. And so now we serenade staff at hospitals, health clinics, and schools, right, with professional string ensembles plus one youth musician. And the notion is that we have several sites, and we have an ensemble for each site, and we rotate that youth musician between each one of the sites so he can gain experience, build his resume, gain network, gain professionalism. And so that, becomes kind of the circuit. And we're playing at Carl Hospital in Illinois for their staff on May 6th. We just got through playing for Dr. Shabazz and Dr. Patrice Mohammed at Salam Wellness Center. And that was like a real wonderful, wonderful presentation. Everything was just great about that experience. We also played for It Takes a Village Family and Schools, Freedom Home Academy. And we're looking to play for Muhammad University. We just got to get approved. You got to go through them steps. So we're going to see.
Yes, sir. Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. And how can people reach out to you who want to get you to go to their schools or go to their programs, who will be watching on YouTube? And
wow. Well, you know what? I'm gonna try to, because I'm not great at this, share in my chat. If not, I'll make sure and send you the link. But my son's pitch proposal is online, so they can take a look at that. Also, the presentation that the serenade that they did for the community health clinic, Salam Wellness Community Health Center. We've also got that. So I would love for people to, take a look at that and take a look at what he's producing. Anybody reach out to me at RMUHAMMA. And that's at gmail.com. If they need my cell number, I can, give them that as well. But Ray Muhammad, I'm cats in Chicago, they know me. If you reach out to anybody here, they can put you in tune as well.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Brother Michael says, we need him in CPS, Brother Ray. Sister Audrey says, how beautiful, alhamdulillah. Sister Naima said, brilliant, that's wonderful. Our Brother Roosevelt says, beautiful. Sister Audrey said, this is excellent, alhamdulillah. Sister Miriam says, excellent being innovation, healing innovation. And Dr. Amira says, all praises due to Allah. Please post the pictures on your page. I want to thank you, Brother Ray, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on this podcast. This has been phenomenal. Anything that we could do to help share, promote, you got a family right here on the People's Podcast. And I look forward to seeing you and meeting your sons in person, inshallah, very soon.
Absolutely. Man, thank you. And keep up this work, bro. This is, it's cathartic. It is informative. It is inspiring. And it really lets us know that we got everything we need. And we just needed somebody like you to show us, man. We got everything we need. We good.
All praises to Allah. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.